Welcome back to the Charismatic Voice, where we are obsessed with all things that bring out more vocal nerdery, like the Talkbox. I am revved up to hear more of the Talkbox and some more Peter Frampton while at it. Let's get to it. Aww. Oh, yeah. I love that we got into the Talkbox just right away. And I was going to pause and talk about the entry chords there. And then he just dove into it. And I was like, yes, I've got so much amazing to happen in the first 25 seconds, including a really good vocal intro. So back to the beginning one more time. Those entry chords, they feel like something that could come into, I don't know, some sort of teen romance flick, like 10 Things I Hate About You, right? It's got that longing in it. So sweet. There's some major and then a nice little shift into minor, like, oh, it's bittersweet. Really wanting somebody so much, as most of us have experienced at some point within our teenage years. Right there. Aww. There's so many things that fascinate me about the Talkbox. First thing is, I love how it requires a person to become very specific about their mouth shape. Second thing is that I love that it's not requiring phonation to be made here. So you can make really, really cool, very dynamic and modular kinds of sounds without actually having to expend any of that vocal budget. There is another really, really big awesome point that I want to make about how this is tied to brain as well, but we'll talk about that later. For now, let's just go back a little bit. So it looks like he's keeping it a little more static at first when he starts, probably as a way to showcase just the really fun tone quality without having too much variation. And I'm hoping that later he's gonna go crazy. One more time. I wonder how you're feeling. It's ringing in my ears. I know one to relate to. Set the scene. Who can I believe in? I'm meeting on the floor. There has to be a force. Who do I fall? He has a spectacular singing voice. The very direct, immediately into the sound approach is excellent, especially for contemporary singing. And there's a balance in the tone that I think is fantastic. It also sounds like it isn't getting caught up in here at all. And that makes me wonder if we used a Talkbox as cross-training for more singers, would it be possible that the singers would learn to focus more on the feelings up here and less on the feeling here? A lot of times people get caught up in their vocal training and what's here, like it kind of starts to feel bogged down. You should absolutely focus on this portion, right? You breathe, you phonate, meaning you make a sound here, and then you shape the sound up here. And there are so many things that create more ease in the sound by just focusing here. Like SOVT exercises are scientifically documented to be one of the best ways to get more efficiency in a sound, more ease, so you can reach up to the top, crazy high stuff just more easily. If you guys take my course on demystifying singing, I talk so much. We have a week just exclusively diving into that. And even if you don't take that course, you can find me talking about it on YouTube too. SOVT exercises, focus on phonation here. But the point is, get that easy, make it efficient, make it more simple so that you can get up into the good stuff up here. This is where professional singers tend to spend a lot of time. I'm going to sneeze, I think. I've got like a sneeze that is coming on right now. Oh gosh. It's just like hanging out right there. Oh, I hate this. Thank you for your patience. Anyhow, so this is the good stuff up top that makes us sneeze. Allergy season is here. And we really want to make it feel like there's nothing going on here. This is the stuff that you're focusing on with the Talkbox. It's all up here. It's taken this out of the equation. So I wonder if as a cross-training tool, it might be really, really useful. Back one more time. Oh, back further. Right? It feels like this is almost non-existent. It just goes straight up here. Another thing that focus is great for is the clarity of text. A lot of times people, when they're playing with the shaping, they'll end up having some vowels really drop back, and it almost sounds like they're two different people, or that they're shifting vocal registers because the sound goes boop and then back up here and does this back and forth. And it feels funky because that shift is really air pressure that's being sent to different places and gets diverted, and sometimes that then affects the phonation. It has this reverse effect. If you can keep that in the mask is what we'll often call it, or essentially threading through the same area of resonance, that continuity is really useful. And I imagine that training with the Talkbox would help increase that feeling. One more time. We're gonna keep going. I think they go to the same hairstylist, don't you? Back one more time. We're going to go back just a little bit further so you guys can hear that threading of the resonance. All right, it's very nice. Clear. I like that harmony. I love the way he goes so quickly between the two. I do wish I had just a slightly different camera angle here because the microphone tends to block a little bit of his mouth shape, but you can hear a pretty big difference between the open and closed vowels, and you can see his mouth do that a little bit behind the mic too. Open and closed vowels, we're literally talking about how open or closed your mouth is. E, oo, my mouth is fairly closed, right? Ah, open. That's what we're talking about. For some reason, I think when I was first learning vocal pedagogy, I got confused about that. I feel that people try to make it more sciencey, or when I say sciencey, I mean a little bit more elaborated than it needs to be. That's just open a closed mouth. It's simple, actually. Ooh, back further. Here we go. Yeah, there was a really good example when he went up to the top and he opened up his mouth more, and that was the shift in timbre that you could hear. One more time. Right there. That's cool. That's a really good lyric.
Swimming in a circle, I feel I'm going down. There has to be a fool to play my part.
Oh my gosh.
Someone thought of healing.
I love the way he storytells, the way he looks at the audience too. There's a generosity in the performance. That is one of the number one things that I associate with great performers, is when they look at their audience and they are generous. They are there with the vibe of the audience, engaging in it. There's something magical that happens, and even more magical, I think, when you have a really generous performance. Performer and performance, actually. He, even looking here, you can tell he really wants to engage with them. He wants them to see into those soul window eyes.
There has to be a fool to play my part. Someone thought of healing, but all I really wanna know, oh, was you. Show me the way.
Nice diphthong.
I want you. Show me the way. Yeah. I want you. Every day.
Wow. He has such clear mouth shapes when he's singing. It's so evident what vowel he's singing just by the shape of the mouth. I love seeing his mouth shapes. He's just a pro Pez dispenser right there.
I want you. Every day.
Yeah. Yay, that's the angle I want. Nice. That's great. This is exactly what we want to see. So as far as open and closed vowels, it really is depending on how open and closed his lips are. I think his mouth is going to be a little bit restricted because in order to have this thing still inside, he probably can't go as open as, for example, when we saw him sing Day just a little bit before. And instead, he's using the openness provided just by stretching and also retracting his lips. That is fascinating to me. I'm gonna go back. By the way, that other third thing that I think is so useful about Talkbox that relates to the brains, there has been some awesome science done scanning a singer's brain, both while singing and while imagining singing. This was done on Renee Fleming. She has a great book out that I've been loving called Music and Mind. And in this study, the brain activity while imagining singing was actually more than while singing. I think that's fascinating. And it makes me wonder, what's the brain activity between singing and using Talkbox? Because Talkbox would be imagining those shapes. You're making them and you're thinking about how they'd feel. Maybe it's become more habitual to him, but imagining how these shapes could be used with a different sound source. Oh gosh, that must be so good for the brain. Music is so good for your brain, y'all. It lights up more of the brain than anything else. It's amazing. We've only brushed the tip of an iceberg of how music can be used for therapy. Seriously, used to help clinical conditions like your heart. Cardiovascular conditions can be improved by music. It's crazy. Anyhow, I could talk endlessly about that. I imagine that this Talkbox usage is making his brain light up like it was Christmas.
I
love how wah-wah. So much wah-wah in there. Wow. It's amazing how the smallest difference makes a huge difference in sound. Wow. So there are a couple main things that affect vowels and those shapes, those formants in your mouth. One of them is going to be the lips and how open it is in the front. And one of them is just your tongue shape. If you say E, for example, you can feel that the tongue really crowds the front versus ah or even O. Like you can feel the way that the tongue shifts back with those vowels. E, ah, and O are also our corner vowels. That basically a more extreme position. So if you use those three, you can really feel how the tongue is shifting a lot. Most people aren't very aware of tongue shapes initially. If you've sung, if you've done any sort of speech therapy, you're much more aware of them. But most people in a day-to-day basis in their life really won't think much about them. But I encourage you to become much more into how that feels in your mouth and start to notice how quickly your tongue is adapting to all of these different shapes to let you speak or sing. Because holy cow, it is such an incredibly complex and well-adapted muscle. It's just shocking. I'm gonna go back one more time. Here we go. Just a quick little plug on the side. This is talking a lot about source filter theory, meaning that you have a source of sound and you have a filter that sound is put through in some way. Source of sound when singing is your two vocal folds, if it's a clear tone, a clear pitch. And then in this case, the source of sound is actually his guitar. And the filter, though, is the same. The filter is all that stuff up above. And I am very heavy into research right now, looking at alternative sources for sound in the vocal tract, meaning the stuff that you hear in harsh vocals or distortion. You want to talk about false vocal folds, area epiglottic folds. Gosh, I've seen so many things get involved in sound creation in the throat now. Throat balls, aka lingual tonsils. And if you want to see some more about that, I will link a video list at the end of some of the most recent stuff we've done, to be continued with much more. I love this lyric. This is happening to me. I watch you when you're sleeping, then I wanna take your love. That's just a tiny bit creepy. Watch you when you're sleeping, just a little bit creepy. Up until now, I was like, this is so sweet. Oh gosh, I don't know how I feel about that line. Oh, let's go back a little more so we get the creepy line one more time. To me. I watch you when you're sleeping, then I wanna take your love. Oh, won't you show me the way? Again with a great diphthong. Won't you show me the way? I want you. There's that really sweet chord pattern again. Oh. Yeah. Oh, I love the way that they essentially made that chord pattern the bridge. That's fun. It brings that sort of bittersweetness back into the whole thing. I also like the way that the lyrics are often said, things like, I want you, and then more stuff afterwards. But it's nice to just say, hey, I want you is good enough. And also, I don't know why our language evolved to allow I want you instead of I want you. But it's very common, and I say it too. There is no CH, not I want you. But my goodness, it certainly does sound more casual and is very, very acceptable. And I want you, even letting go of the T is probably a better choice. But my goodness, it's evolved that way. I don't know why. Lots of CH.
Show me the way. I want you. Show me the way. I want you. Every day.
Oh, the chords again. Before they end, I just have to like get in a moment where I say wacka, wacka, wacka a few times or smacka, smacka, smacka. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then you need to get more involved with our community here, because wacka, wacka, wacka is my fond way to refer to the creation of sound. Maybe it's the vocal folds going wacka, wacka, wacka to create a certain pitch. Or in the case of guitar, you have vibrations that are creating that as well. And in the case of harsh vocals, it'd be like a little smacka, smacka, smacka. Anyhow, I just had to get that in there because sometimes this whole sound source and filter theory, it starts to feel a little bit, I don't know, a little snobbish, right? Let's bring it back down to earth. Basically, are these things colliding in a way that creates noise? And if that is the case, then that is a sound source of some sort. Back just a little bit. We'll catch that ending. Yeah. Yep, it's all the same barber. All the same hairdresser. I love voice science. It is my thing, and I love seeing it applied to a different sound source like this. I just love it. Thank you to everybody that recommended this video. You knew that I would nerd out again. And if you want to nerd out more with me on tons of voice science, check out this playlist over here, and may you fall more in love with music every day. Mwah!